You're bulletproof
But
until you're not, right?
exactly. So that essentially, between the divorce and 3 years of unemployment, yeah, I there was a point where I literally had $17 to my name.
Hi, welcome back to Let Me Ask You Something, the weekly podcast where I, MD Pittman, talk to everyday ordinary people about something extraordinary in their lives. Now this week I talked to Danny Coleman. He has a lot of adversity in his life. He's faced a career-ending back injury, and now he is reinventing himself, or has reinvented himself, in this second career that he's doing, and he's on a comeback trail after another life-altering situation. We get into that in the podcast interview. So without further ado, here's Danny Coleman.
So we are recording. We are live. Welcome to Let Me Ask You Something, the weekly podcast where I, MD Pittman, ask everyday ordinary people about something extraordinary in their lives. This week we have Danny Coleman. He's a radio DJ and radio personality, entertainment journalist, and he's had a pretty interesting life here. But let me start off here with you here, Danny. Let me ask you something. Why do you have a rags to riches story?
It's more like riches to rags, work my way back to riches.
So tell me about it. How did you get in this predicament?
Well, the first part that took me to from riches to rags was I went through a very bitter divorce. It wasn't good for anybody. Let's put it that way. I lost pretty much everything I had worked for, because that's the way the courts worked in New Jersey. My ex-wife was a stay-at-home mom, and because she was staying at home parenting and I was the sole income, they really did a number on me, and I lost a lot of income.
Okay.
It was a divorce that I didn't even, I'm not going to get into that kind of detail, but let's just put it this way. My ex-wife didn't want to be married anymore, at least not to me.
Okay.
And, so it got, if I didn't fight for what little I was allowed to keep, I would have been in the poorhouse a lot sooner.
Wow.
And then 2 years after my marriage ended, I suffered a career-ending back injury. I was a United Parcel Service driver.
Okay.
And I woke up one morning and my back was stiff and sore, and I thought, just another day at UPS,
Okay.
What happened was I never even made it to work. I made it to the driveway and collapsed with 4 herniated discs. I had blood in my spine.
How did you do that? Like what? How did that happen?
Well, one of the discs leaked a little bit and pinched off all my nerves from the waist down.
Oh, man.
So that was 12 years ago. Yeah, January of 2009. And essentially it ended my job, my career.
Okay.
And my income.
Wow. So you had to reinvent yourself, as you had told me. So, well, with the injury, was it? I mean, how are you now?
Well, 12 years. I still can't feel my feet. I have a lot of neuropathy in my legs.
Okay.
I still get a lot of cramping and things of that nature. It's getting harder to get out of bed every day. Let's put it that way. And I've had surgery. So, but because of that, I was unemployed for 3 years and I essentially lived out of my savings account until I could find another job at literally,
which is already depleted because of the divorce.
Right, which was literally 70% less pay.
Okay.
The job that I currently have from what I was making at UPS. So it was a rough road. But
did they ever figure out what caused it?
Yeah, 20 years of working for UPS.
Oh wow. Okay, there you go.
Lifting, lowering, bending, going up and down steps with hand trucks and.
All right.
I delivered downtown Trenton, New Jersey, so I had a lot of state offices.
Okay, yeah, a lot of buildings there. Yeah, a lot of stairs. That's an important lesson for all you young folks out there. Take care of your back, because once it goes, Danny is living proof of what happens.
Yeah, so, and the funny part was I had never been hurt. I had never been injured.
Oh, my God.
And all of a sudden, it just hit me unexpectedly.
Wow.
So, yeah.
You're bulletproof until you're not, right?
Exactly. So that essentially, between the divorce and 3 years of unemployment, there was a point where I literally had $17 to my name.
Wow. So how do you build that back up? You're forced to reinvent yourself. So let's talk about that part. How did you reinvent yourself?
Well, while I was looking for jobs, and I realized that essentially I was a truck driver for the last 20 years, that I needed to be able to do something for a living. And this time I was going to do it for me. I've been a musician since I was 11 and a half years old. And I always wanted to play music. And I kind of, right out of high school, I didn't go to college. And my mom and dad were like, well, you either got to get a job or you need to go to college. And I said, I got a job. I'm a musician. And I could still hear my mom. That's what you do in your part-time. Yeah. You need a good solid job with benefit, kind of like George Thorogood's song, get a haircut and get a real job.
Yeah. Yes.
But so I went to work for the Wall Street Journal, Dow Jones and Company. I did that for 8 years. Then I realized I had gotten married my last year there, and I thought, well, we're going to start a family soon, so I need a better job, and that's when I started working for UPS. And both
how old are you? How old were you about then?
26.
26. Okay.
26 years old. Yeah. So I realized that I wanted to. When I took the job, I took the first job to accommodate my family, the second job to accommodate my growing family, and this time I said I'm going to do something for myself. And I hurt my back. I was 46 years old.
Okay.
And I said, and it was very hard to find a job doing what you wanted. So I thought, well, it's time to reinvent myself. And I had gone to broadcasting school about a year after I graduated high school. And I just couldn't find a job that had any kind of decent pay or benefits. So I stayed with the Wall Street Journal. And this time I thought, you know what? I'm going to go back to radio. And that's how I started. I found an ad on Craigslist. They were looking for show ideas and show hosts at an AM radio station in Burlington County, southern New Jersey. So I went in and pitched the idea of my program, Rock on Radio. They bought it, and I was there for 3 years.
Okay.
And then I went. They had a programming change. They took the station back to its original gospel format, and my show didn't really fit. So I went.
The gospel is not rock.
Well, I went strictly internet radio.
Okay.
Excuse me. Thinking I'd get ahead of the curve, and now everybody's on internet radio, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, why did Led Zeppelin IV change your life?
When I was 12, my cousin, who was 4 or 5 years older, a little more than 4 years older than me, brought me a album for my 12th birthday. She brought me this record and handed it to me, and I opened it up, and I'm looking at it, and I'm 12. And I'm thinking, what the heck is that on the cover? Why the guy got that bundle of sticks? And she said to me, simply put, you're playing the drums now? You need to listen to this guy.
Yeah.
And of course it was John Bonham, and I just fell in love with it, which also began my love of blues music. So,
well, what about it? What did you fall in love with it? What was there any one specific thing about it, or a few things, or was it just the whole album as a whole?
well, the album itself, my cousin, I remember her saying to me, "You need to listen to this guy, in particular, the last track on the second side,
Mm-hmm.
which was When the Levee Breaks." And those drums just started out, boom, boom. And I was like, oh, my Lord. And I went downstairs and I tried it, and it felt good. and then I start listening to the rest of the songs on the album, Black Dog and then Rock and Roll. And I was like,
Yeah.
I was hooked. So I've had lead poisoning since I was 12.
Lead poisoning.
But yeah, so it was and then I bought Led Zeppelin 1 was the next one, and Led Zeppelin 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Physical Graffiti, which is my all-time favorite Zeppelin album.
So,
but yeah,
what about Led Zeppelin really hits home to you? I mean, obviously that first album hit home, but what about? I mean, going back to the Led Zeppelin 1, 2, and 3, and the other albums, what about that just grabs you?
Well, for me, being a drummer, it was always John Bonham.
Mm-hmm.
But the Jimmy Page's guitar work, and they took these blues songs and they just played them. Essentially, they took these blues songs and just shoved them down your throat with power guitar chords and drum beats, and it just changed the way. I mean, there's a reason why they're considered the greatest rock band in the world. A lot of times, a lot of people say the Beatles or the Stones, but nobody changed the face of music. Once we were in that transition period after the Beatles started to die down, like Led Zeppelin.
Yeah. Now, you got a few things going on here. You have your Rock on Radio show that's on the COA radio network. That's what, City of Angels radio. Then you have the Got the Blues on the jazzon2.org. And then you have your podcast. You have some of your back episodes on the podcast. Why are you in so many diverse areas here? I mean, obviously it's all about music, but you got a pretty rock and blues. I mean, they're kind of kissing cousins, I would guess. But can you talk about why you're so into this into these podcasts and shows?
Well, Rock on Radio, believe it or not, the idea came to me as I was laying in bed with my back injury. The idea came to me when I was 16 years old, actually. Because when I was, actually younger than that, 15 years old, because when I was 15, I went into the recording studio for the first time with the band of my high school buddies that we were together, and we wanted to make a recording because a local station was having one of these unsigned heroes contests, like a battle of the bands type of thing, and they'd play your song on the air and people would call in and vote. And I was at a local church carnival, and one of my high school classmates came over to me and she grabbed my arm. She says, "Listen." I said, "Listen to what?" She goes, "Listen, will you listen?" And one of the Wheels of Chance had a radio on, a transistor radio, and there was my band on the radio. My feet were frozen to the ground. I'm on the radio. I had goosebumps from head to toe.
What song was it?
I just remember it was one of our original songs that we did.
Okay.
A song called "We're All Right" by a band called Valhalla. And we were, and I was just frozen in time. And I just remember how good that felt. It was like such an adrenaline rush. And I thought to myself, if I can give other bands and other artists and other people that same thrill by putting them on the radio, then I'm going to try. I'm going to go for it. And that's how I formulated the show. I take indie bands, unsigned indie bands, local bands, national bands, anybody who's touring or coming through. If they want to come on my program, they're more than welcome to do so. I give them 2 hours to sit down, talk to me in an interview, perform perform live if they want. I play off their albums or CDs, and it gives them the opportunity, it gives them a platform to be heard.
Mm-hmm.
And back when I did it, there weren't many shows doing it. Now everybody does it. And everybody's got a podcast. You can't swing a dead cat without hitting somebody that's got a podcast.
Well, I just started listening back in April. So.
There you go. And then the pandemic comes along, and everybody started coming up with ideas for podcasts.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's great. And I've kind of stayed the course. A lot of shows have come and gone. A lot of people have moved on to better things. Some have given it up altogether. But I've kind of stayed the course because I find that if you accept your lot, then things are a lot easier to deal with. And I accept the fact that this might be all I'm meant to be, is helping local musicians. And I do get some large classic rockers, some of their larger names, call my show every now and then, people I've befriended through my journalism.
Okay.
I've had members of Genesis, Blue Oyster Cult, Heart.
Oh, man.
Gosh, a lot of classic rock.
Yeah.
I've actually been able to share the stage with some of them as well. They brought me up to play a few songs on percussion, a few of these people.
Yeah.
When they were doing local shows. Yeah, so it was really cool.
So, what type of audience do you have with that? I mean, I would imagine it would be pretty significant with being on there for 10 or more years now.
Well, I do have a loyal group of listeners who tune into the show and listen because they want to hear new music. They want to hear what's coming out of where. And as I said, most of my artists, believe it or not, come from the Jersey Shore area.
Yeah.
I've had them come as far away as Albany, Key West.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, they were planning a tour, and they asked if they could come on while they were coming through Connecticut. I've had a couple of artists stop by that are in Connecticut. I give them an opportunity. That's what they get. They get an opportunity, and the following is built off of, believe it or not, and this is the part that's tough. Musicians are terrible. Musicians are absolutely terrible at self-promotion. So if they don't promote that they're going to be on the show, then I don't get as many listeners. If they help me out and promote, then I get my listeners. And you can see, and my engineer who runs the station as well as my show, he said to me, because I can always tell when your show is on because our numbers go way up.
Oh,
so because he replays it and things of that nature. So exactly, it's very hard to calculate how many listeners you have via internet radio. Because people click on for 2 seconds and it counts as
a click.
Somebody listening. So,
well, what is the? I guess what type of music is coming up now as far as with the various types of rock out there, or if that's kind of not something you can predict, what's your favorite band that you have that's been on your show?
Oh gosh, that's like asking me which one of my kids do I like. It depends on the day.
yeah, exactly.
No, I've had a lot of. You know where I get the most pleasure, actually, and I was just talking to a woman yesterday online. Her daughter came on my show for the first time when she was 15 years old. Mm-hmm. She's now 27, and she's got a blossoming music career. And her mom reached out to me just to say, "Hey, Sophie's putting out a new disc. When she gets home, I'll have her send it to you." And I was like, "That's great. Have her send it along." And I get the most pleasure out of watching her and any artist who comes on my program, young or even in their early 20s. They don't have to be 15-year-old kids. But when they come on the program, and then watching them blossom and watching them grow into not only beautiful young people, but polished, incredible musicians, and that's really cool. Or the other favorite thing is when somebody puts me in the liner notes on their CD. When you open up the CD and you see Thank To and Rock on Radio or Danny Coleman, and that never gets old.
Yeah, it's like Uncle Danny.
Yeah, pretty much.
You don't have a hand in raising them, but you have a pride in their success.
Yep. Yes, I do.
Is the Got the Blues show that you have on Monday nights? Is that the same type of format, or is that a little different?
No. Got the Blues. Danny Coleman's Got the Blues actually airs on a couple of different FM radio stations here in Jersey, but it also airs online at jazzon2.org. And what that is, that's an hour-long blues music show. And it's great because I am in control of the thing from start to finish. It airs on a local community college radio station here.
Okay.
And I get to curate the music. I mean, this is all my blues music collection, and I get to pick the playlist and build the playlist. Then I get to put it together, and I get to do all the voice tracks, and then it airs on Monday nights.
Okay, it's kind of like echoes on it's on my local national public radio, but John DiLiberto hosted. It's kind of classical, some cultural music, but it's an hour long of just what he curates to that. But it's like that, but for the blues.
Yes, exactly.
All right.
And it's from my own collection. It's not anything. I don't take any music from the station or anything of that. Because people send me music all the time. I'm not kidding you. I've got about half a dozen, maybe 8 big Rubbermaid totes of CDs that I have accumulated over the last 12 years. People sending me CDs. Can you check out my stuff? Can you play my stuff? Will you do this? And sometimes some of them are really good.
Yeah. Have you listened to them all?
Not yet. I've tried. Usually what happens
it can get overwhelming a bit.
Well, when somebody sends me one, I'll take it and I'll automatically pop it in I still have a computer with a CD drive in it.
Yeah.
But I also have a CD player in my pickup truck, so I'll listen to it on the way to and from work or whatever. So I try to listen to all of them. And I can say I pretty much have, but I know there's some I've missed.
Yeah. Now to get back to kind of your up and down career, your comeback, so to speak. Can you talk a little bit about what's next with you? I mean, it sounds like you're doing a lot, but what's next? How do you complete this comeback, or this reinvention of yourself?
If I knew that, I'd play the lottery, my friend.
You and me both, brother.
I really, when I began to do things, and this is going to sound selfish, but when I began to do things for me and not for others, when I started accommodating me before others, things began to turn around. And I don't mean I was a jerk and I was nasty. But what I'm saying is, you know what? I'd love to help you, but I just can't do that right now. Yeah. We can do it next week when I'm free. And if you don't want to wait, then you don't wait. Otherwise, I would have dropped what I was doing and went and helped somebody. I mean, I'm just using that as the kind of...
Yeah. Well, no, I get that totally. It's a piece of advice that I give to my kids. I give to my nieces and nephews of looking out for number one. No, it in a way, yes, it's selfish because you have to look out for yourself, but it's not, because you don't have to be rude or a jerk about it. You just have to make sure that you're taken care of and you're not overexerting yourself and going too far above and beyond to your detriment.
Right. Well, case in point, when I was married, my ex-wife said to me, we're going to be starting a family, and I don't really think it's going to be beneficial for us or you or me to be in a bar every Friday or Saturday night, or a restaurant playing, and one of us is home. I mean, we're going to have kids. So I stopped playing music for about 10 years.
Yeah.
And not that I stopped. My drums are in the basement, and I always played them. But I stopped playing in bands. And then the only person that made unhappy was me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when my kids got older, I went back to playing a little bit, but and my, now ex-wife would go with me. But when you start giving up things that you enjoy and things that you love just because somebody else is insecure or weak or
Mm-hmm.
doesn't trust you, the only person that's unhappy is you. And it really should make you take a look at the relationship you're in as far as that goes. On the other hand, I know a lot of people who can't be trusted, but that's how you weed it out. That's how you figure things out.
Yeah.
But
and then maybe, no, go ahead. You said you realized.
Yeah, I realized that once I started living for me and that it was okay to say no once in a while, that's when things began to start to happen. I was able to dive headfirst into my radio programs. I was ready to I started writing at first for the one of our two big newspapers, or one of the several big newspapers here in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, they got bought out and they did away with all their freelancers. So I started writing for New Jersey Stage, and the gentleman over there, Gary Ween, is just incredible. I couldn't ask for a better part. He lets me put my column on his site, and in my column that I do every week, there's an article and an interview with a musician or an entertainer, but I also list all of the venues that are hosting live entertainment in a tri-county area, Mercer County, Burlington County here in New Jersey, and Bucks County across the Delaware River in Pennsylvania. So musicians can go there every week and say, "Oh wow, look who's playing here, look who's playing here, look who's playing. Oh yeah, they got our gig in the paper." Because that never grows old either. If you're a musician, opening up the paper and seeing your name in tonight. I always wanted to name a band that was free beer. And then when they put it up on the marquee, tonight, free beer, the place would be bombed.
Yes. Well, I mean, you ever see the movie PCU? It's the band. They have, it's a movie. Jeremy Pivens is in it. George Clinton is it makes a cameo at the near the end. But they basically throw it's a college party, and the band is Everyone Gets Laid.
Nice.
I highly recommend it. It's not for young people, but I do highly recommend it for anyone old enough to watch.
Very cool. Yeah.
So great. Well, anything else you'd like to say that you want to make sure to emphasize? Anything you thought I would ask you that maybe I didn't?
Well, we talked, it was riches to rags. Now working my way back to riches. I've had a lot of good people in my life. Like I've been fortunate after my divorce. My sister took me in so I could get back up on my feet a little bit. And I had a couple of now ex-girlfriends who took really good care of me. And I've been able to get where I am simply because I didn't give up.
Yeah.
I was 3 days from being homeless, literally 3 days away from being homeless. I was going to be living out of my pickup truck. And a good buddy of mine who I hadn't seen or really spoke much to in quite a few years contacted me and said, "Hey, I heard you're in a pickle, man. Why don't you come live with me till you can get on your feet?" He said, "I don't want any money. I just want you to help me take care of the place."
Yeah.
And he let me stay there for a couple of years until I was able to spend. And then when I got the money, I was able to start paying them. And then I was able to get out. And it's been all because I didn't give up. I had friends tell me, if I had your life, I'd either be suicidal or in rehab. And at them, I just laugh and I say, sometimes you got to just shrug your shoulders and say, okay, next. And you keep going, but you have to keep going. I saw this thing on Facebook years ago, even baby steps, you're still moving forward. Yeah. So you can't give up. You have to keep going. Take care of the people around you. And, one day they may have to take care of you, or they may feel like they want to take care of you is probably a better way of putting it. I also have a website, which is dcror.com. That's the quick link for Danny Coleman to rockonradio.com. City of Angels Radio, my engineer, Art Ackerman, is fantastic. He took my show, and if anybody wants to sponsor my program, all they have to do is go to cityofangelsnj.org and make a donation. They're a charitable organization, volunteer, nobody collects a paycheck, and what they do is they get people with addictions into treatment.
Wow.
So anybody who wants to donate, I don't care whether it's $1 or $1 million, I'll give you, months of free advertising just for that. And I'll just mention your name on the show. And if you have a business, you want to donate $10, I don't care. I'll mention your business or whatever you want me to say. Just make sure you put Rock On Radio in the tab.
Yeah.
And
I'll put the links down in the show notes for the YouTube as well as the audio. So all your links will be down below.
Great. And last but not least, my producer, Claire Henwood, she is worth her weight in gold. I could sit here and gush about her, but I think I might embarrass her. She is absolutely phenomenal. And without her, my show, she's really taken my show to different levels with her ideas and her marketing and her social media skills. And I really would be, I'd be lost without her. So I just want to make sure I get the right people thanked.
Yeah.
As I try to do every time I get asked or I look into being on podcasts, because they deserve.
Definitely. Say their names one more time. Say all their names one more time so we can get them out there.
Art Ackerman. It's Ackerman is ACKERMAN, and Claire with an E, CLAIRE, Claire Henwood, HENWOOD.
And these are the people that make Danny Coleman look good.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. God knows I need all the help I can get, my friend.
Great. Well, I think that's about all the time we have here. So, Danny Coleman, Rock On Radio, I appreciate your time, and thank you for being a guest on my podcast. And maybe here in a few more months, we might have you on celebrating some sort of milestone you got coming up, if you have anything that's out there.
Well, let me see. Yeah, maybe. I'll be 58 in another couple of weeks.
That's always a big milestone there. So great. Well, Danny Coleman, thank you very much for being on my podcast.
Well, Michael, thank you so much. I appreciate you, man. Thank you. Rock on, my friend.
Rock on.